This video will contain spoilers for Undead Unluck, chapter 218. Come back later when you've caught up. Okay. Let's go straight into the recap because, so we start off the chapter with Soul and the rest of the superior rules watching the final events of Untouchable's Awakening activate as the orb goes on to Tatiana, and Uma Change, understandably, is showing concern because with Untouchable joining the Union, that's making them even stronger, and they're basically complete now, which is an issue because the Union is massive and strong now. But Soul, not showing much concern, just casually just goes, by the way, you want to kill Unchange, right? I'll leave her be. War, you over there, you want to fight unfair. I'll try and set him aside too, make sure he's safe. Change, and the rest of us being understandably confused, goes, the fuck are you going on about? To which he's like, nah, watch this, you're gonna love this, lads. We then cut back to a while after the fashion shows ended and whatnot. Tatiana and the rest of the Union now is on her rescue mission, at the stage discussing everything about the Umas fighting God, whether or not Tatiana's going to be joining. All that's what's being discussed. And just as they're talking about how the Union is finally complete, they all get fucking shot with streams of blood. And before we even have time to fully register and come with terms of the fact that Chikara's just had both of his eyes fucking sliced up by the stream of blood, we get the reveal that Ruin has finally fucking showed up at the most insane time possible. So how does Fuko respond to this? The same way any Undead Unluck character responds when they see someone with massive regeneration abilities that they're fighting. She fucking takes off his fucking head and pokes his eyes, because for some reason, Undead Unluck just likes going for the eyes on regenerative characters. After taking off his head and taking out his eyes, she throws his head over to Gina and have her trap him in an unchanged barrier, similar to how previous Looper did with Andy, but then it's shown that Ruin has a grasp on his soul, with an understanding on it, and can regenerate from the rest of his body, like Andy can. Fuko, realising this threat, just starts handsing him, going for a fight, and then shoves her fucking arm in his chest and takes it out, leaving her glove behind. Because as we know, Fuko can impart unluck onto other things, including tape and clothing. And she's had that glove on for 200 fucking years. So how does that impart unluck on Ruin? A fucking meteor shower localized entirely on a fucking fashion show stadium room. So after a brief moment of just, okay, Gina had Unchanged up to protect Fuko. Civilians were taken outside by Kudulu. It's all good. It's all good. No, Ruin has a bit of blood shoot up out on the ground, cutting Fuko's eyes, and then fucking backhands Gina, knocking her out. And now that he has a bit of relaxation with him being in charge, he inquires to Fuko, asking her why she thinks her and the other negators can beat God, because she has experienced Ragnarok. She knows the power that God has and the impossibility of that task. To which Fuko, after Julie and Sean tag team to stab him through the chest, goes on to talk, saying, look, the superior rules can't normally interfere unless it's in the crest. So if they're sending you, then that means they know they're fucked and that they know the power of the full Union that I have. So they're panicking, and the Union is complete as of today, as I summon the final member of the Union, as it's shown that her red beanie, the one that she's been wearing for 210 years now, instructs a bad bullet unluck onto him, summoning probably the most devastating stroke of unluck he could have right now. Her undead. So, fuck. This chapter is going to be competing with next chapter for the title of best chapter of the fucking year. Because, oh my god, there is so much in this chapter. There is so much that I was about 16 minutes into recording video, but then my mic cable fell out and it just ruined everything, so I've had to restart. But I'll remember what I was talking about. So let's go through this bit by bit, because there is so fucking much. And let's start with the first page that has its own massive fucking reveal and important setup that was kind of brushed under the rug by Tezuka, which I'm not saying that's a complaint. I find it fucking hilarious, and also respect that Tezuka has such confidence in his writing that he can do these big reveals so casually and then give them their gravitas and importance later on when their time comes, but uses these big reveals early on to help set up this important stuff. That being another reveal of one of the other superior rules that we hadn't gotten yet, Uma War. Now, because of his design and the fact that he had them fighter jets and everything, we knew he was some kind of like war or genocide based Uma, but we do have the full confirmation of Uma War. And not only that, we have a confirmation on which negator he wants to fight. Because looking at the 10 superior rules, even though 2 of them are already out and we still have 8 left, we've always known that each one of them were going to have their own like negator to face on mainly. The obvious ones being like Uma Change, she wants to go after Gina because she is unchanged, she is her vessel. But with War, there's most likely isn't an unwar because we know that not all Umas have their own negator. So who is Uma War going for? Billy. Unfair. And what I love about this is that this matchup makes the most sense. Like, the only other superior rule we have in a minute that doesn't have a vessel that we know of is Uma Soul, and the only other Uma that we don't actually know of yet is the chivalrous knight in armor one. We don't know what he is. So he could also be an Uma that doesn't have a vessel. So coming up with a matchup for these Umas that don't have vessels is difficult because the ones that do have vessels, it's natural that they want to fight them. But Uma War going for unfair is so natural and brilliant because Billy, despite being unfair in power, his whole like goals and ideals are inherently unwar. Because Billy, in the previous loop, he was wanting to be the enemy of the Union so he could fight against God and do Ragnarok on his own. But Billy in this loop, and presumably in the previous loop before he had unfair manifest, Billy wanted to take Disc alongside Horizon, his mercenary group, because they wanted to use it to threaten the world. Not because they're evil and want to take over, but because Billy wanted to stop wars. If Billy had this ultra powerful disc, this massive weapon that could do unknown amount of damage, then the world would unite together to become peaceful to try and fight Billy and his mercenary group in the hands of Disc. And in doing so, that would inherently stop wars and bring peace to people. That was Billy's ideals and that was Billy's whole plan. And that would obviously bring on the ire of Uma War, which is why I love this matchup of Uma War versus Unfair, because for Billy, this would be him being able to deal with the one thing he wants to do. Obviously, it's Master Rule, so wars wouldn't just go away. But for Billy, this is the thing that has brought upon the world that he hates the most: wars and unnecessary murder and bloodshed. So it's a perfect matchup for Billy. And it's not just going to be a Billy versus Uma War. We're going to have multiple negators. I'm assuming it's going to be the people from the Negator War arc of Billy, Teller, and Creed. Which for Creed, it would be massively important because it's because of Uma War bringing wars into existence that he was in the position he was. He had Undercrease activate, and him and his men nearly got left for dead on that island because his Undercrease activated. So he has a vendetta against him too. This one page has managed to perfectly set up a fight for the future of one of the superior rules and a group of our negators so perfectly, and it weren't even the main focus of that page or this chapter. That's how fucking good this shit is. And then afterwards, the moment with Tatiana and everyone talking about her joining the Union. Despite only being 2 pages, I do also love this because, again, it's doing great work for Fuko. Specifically, it's showing the massive growth that we've seen Fuko undergo over this time, because as we saw previously with Chikara's arc and the Unmove arc, Fuko's plan for some of the negators was to not allow them to join the Union at all. She was going to help them prevent their tragedies, set them up so they can live life as normally as possible without having to worry about their negations getting in the way. And then she was just going to leave them to try and live their lives. But here, when we see Tatiana talking about, like, yo, so since you saved me and you're dealing with God and all these Umas and whatnot, does that mean I'm joining you? Fuko doesn't outright tell her that she is joining them because she's never forced anyone of them to join. But she doesn't say that she can't join. She says that joining us comes with risks, so we're not going to twist your arm over it. And then after Tatiana says, well, I want to pay you back because you have helped me, and I can leave my previous world behind without any regret. So I want to help. Fuko does not challenge that at all. She does not go against it. She just allows that and just goes, okay, well, we need to get our final member. Obviously, before she's interrupted. But I love that Fuko has shown the growth of just, okay, if this is what you want to do, I'll allow it. I won't interfere. This is your choice to make. Amazing. And it's the growth that she's got from Chikara and Sean as they were the ones who showed her, just like, hey, you can't be doing this stuff. You gotta let people make their own decisions. And then obviously we get one of the wildest fucking page turns we've had in this whole recruitment saga of everyone getting blasted by Ruin's stream of blood. And first of all, little side topic, I didn't actually realise at first this was a 4-page spread. I just thought this was like 2 panels seemingly close together because of that white strip from the stage. But no, this is a 4-page spread, and fuck me, is it beautiful. Oh my god. But nothing great about this is that there's so much going on that you can see if you just look close in the page and properly digest it. Like the first thing of, you can actually see the blood going across Chikara's face, not from the stream, but from his eyes getting slashed the fuck up. So you can, if for some reason, when reading this, you had this page turn, and instead of going, what the fuck happened next, you went, hold on mate, I want to analyse this first. You'd be able to see, oh fuck, wait, is that Chikara's eyes? Oh no. And another thing is, you can see how fast some of these people reacted to this attack. For instance, Julie and Chikara, some of the people that have been in the union for the least amount of time, they basically didn't react. The only reason they didn't get killed was because Fuko saved them. The person who I'm going to say reacted the second quickest, but also the quickest. Because you can see Fuko pushed Julie out of the way, but also grabbed Chikara by the collar and yanked him out of the way from the bloodstream. Obviously not quick enough, but she still managed to react and save them. And then with Sean as well, while I think he did have some reactions because he closed his eyes to go unseen, I don't think he actually reacted that quick either. Because by the looks of things, it looks like Billy has pushed him down out of the ray. Because in the prior page to this, you can see in the top panel, Billy go, and like have a little question with some like realization marks right next to his face, which I don't think it's in response to what Tatiana was saying. See, Billy, as we know, he has his sonic hearing where he can hear things and see them based on the location of the sound, the echolocation, similar to how movies like to portray Daredevil's sonic hearing, even though it's not the exact same. But I think through that, he was able to notice Ruin there, not really understand why there's someone there, and because he doesn't know Ruin, not realise it's a threat, but then he sees the blood come out. It's like, oh shit, push on out of the ray, and he activated Unchange. It's not a strong Unchange because he's not the person who has Unchange, but he does activate Unchange in response. It does break through, but it possibly slows it down enough for him to dodge it in time. He does get hit right here in the head, but he still activated Unchange in response. And another person who was able to activate an negation in response is Gina, because you can see that she also activates Unchange, a stronger version of Billy's because she is the one with Unchange, but she activates it as well and manages to block Ruin's attack. And then we have the page turn with Chikara's eyes being fucked, and those 2 panels in the bottom of Fuko hearing Ruin talk and her reacting to just like this motherfucker. And then the reveal of Ruin himself. Fucking hell. First of all, something that I liked Tasuka did was within a specific like page pacing and layout, no matter which rate or which method you're using to read this, I'd rather it be phone 1 page at a time, whether it be either phone laying outside or tablet laying outside and reading 2 pages at a time, or an actual magazine itself. No matter what, you don't get to see the full appearance of Ruin till you turn the page, because he's on a page that's on the right hand side, which is the first page you read when you turn the page over. So there's no like, what the fuck, looking to the left to quickly spoil yourself. You do see him a little bit, but it's not like a full reveal of him. You don't get the full reveal and full showing of him till you turn the page, so everyone reacts essentially at the same time, unless you're people who know life the series like me, in which you're like, fuck off, no it ain't. So that's great page layout management from Tasuka here. That's just, I love it, especially because the prior page gives you that little bit of time to look and just be like, that ain't that son of a bitch, is it? There's no way. But the other thing I want to talk about with Ruin is his design here, because he has had probably the biggest design overhaul from his previous loop counterparts. See, everyone has these little differences, and Tezuka does go into detail on them in the page extras for whenever characters have their like main first appearance in this new reunion saga, and everyone does have some differences. But Ruin, he's probably had the biggest difference out of everyone, because there's the obvious difference of just the split hair with the black on, assumingly black on one side, because you've never actually seen him in colour, I've realised, but the black on one side and the white on the other side. And the white being on the left side is the same side where this new fucked up piece of his body is, because he had nothing similar to that in the previous loop, with the whole like with the what looks to be not even human flesh looks on him. Obviously, we don't have much to go on here, and as we've seen in this chapter, he has had a massive like potential power upgrades and whatnot, specifically in the being able to regenerate from his body, not just his head like he could in the previous loop. But like, unless he's able to do these shoots of blood on his own, I think that might be Uma blood that's now just fully melded with his body. Like before, he seemingly like was wielding Uma blood and Uma shadows like kind of attached to his body, but not like fully melded to it. If this is Uma blood, this could potentially be like a shown of Uma blood is actually just one of him now. Uma blood is part of his body. That's why like he was able to do these finger blasts so much more proficiently and quicker than last time, it seems. So my current thesis is that this is Uma blood, but in a minute we don't know. I don't think we're even gonna learn next chapter, but that's for predictions to go on. But I love Ruin's new design. It looks just and with the split hair too, I think that has something to do with Soul's handiwork. I don't think this like part of his body is like Soul's handiwork it's directly. Like I don't think it is part of Yuma's soul or anything, because souls have been shown to look differently, especially with a glow. But like, I think with the white hair, and white hair has something to do with Soul's like input in on him. Like probably he's done like what he's done with Kurudu, with the giving him an upgrade with understanding of souls and a boost to soul power, and being able to possibly manipulate his soul outside of his body, which I'm assuming we'll see next chapter if we do. But yeah, the hair I think is Yuma's soul. This thing here, I think that's Yuma blood. That's probably been grafted into him by Soul. The actual fight between Fuko and Ruin here. Oof. Oh my. First of all, there's so many callbacks to different moments with regenerative people in the previous loop. First of all, Fuko taking off Ruin's head using the gun and whatnot is very similar to how Billy took off Ruin's head when he pulled up during the Ragnarok fight just near the end, when he used Unstoppable to fly through, and they had the reveal of Unfair, with the whole like using the gun to take his head off and then grabbing him by the face. There is also, again, the trend Tezuka has, which if you're fighting someone who has regenerative powers, you just go for the eyes. You just go for the fucking eyes. It happened with Andy. It happened with Billy multiple times, the blind bastard. And it's happened with Ruin here. If you're fighting someone with regenerative powers, Tezuka's just going to take your fucking eyes, I guess. But I do also see his potentially Fugo just be like, you take Chikaru's eyes, I'm fucking taking your eyes, you son of a bitch. And then the actual like clashing of attacks between them two, the art itself is great, but oh my god, the skull on Ruin as he regenerates with the hair in the steel. It's tough. It's fucking tough. Oh my god. And oh my god, the reveal of the bad bullet glove in cap. I don't know how I didn't see it coming. Because we had so much setup with it, with showing that with the initial reveal of Bad Bullet being that she can impart unlock onto other non-living things, and then they'll show that she can impart unlock onto like tape. It's not just the bullets. Bad Bullet is just a general term, but it could be anything like the tape here on her face. And even with the hat, they called it Bad Bullet. I'd feel like that'd be more of a nostalgia bullet, because this hat is inherently tied to Fuko's character. She's had it since chapter 1, and it's just part of her. So I'm surprised it wasn't called nostalgia bullet, but still, have the reveal of the glove and hat being Bad Bullets, and the strongest ones. I don't think any of her pistol bullets are anywhere near as strong as the glove and the hat, because 200-year glove and a 210-year cap. Bad Bullet. And then again, this instance of unlock with the glove, First of all, her shoving her fist into Ruin and then taking it out and leaving a glove behind to impart Stroke of Unluck, I feel like it's a callback to when Andy and Fuko first reunited and they fought Ruin on top of the unbreakable gate before they went to the Ark room, because the Stroke of Unluck they imparted on him there is Andy shoving his hand into Ruin's mouth and then ripping that hand off to leave it in Ruin to give him a Stroke of Unluck. And the unlock this time being a fucking meteor shower, I think is a callback to Victor in the spoil arc, because the Stroke of Unluck Fuko left on Andy there that hit Victor was a potent bit of unlock, with that being Fuko's first kiss with Andy, and that being a potent, strong piece of unlock resulted in a meteor shower. And this time she used a strong, probably the second strongest bad bullet she have been her glove, being a super potent level of unlock, resulting in this meteor shower on the first and frightening attack appearance of an immortal character. There's so many homages to like earlier strokes of unluck and moments that happened previously in the series with Ruin and other immortals. That's just And then I want to talk about this little conversation between Ruin and Fuko here. First of all, the fucking disrespect of Ruin just being like, "Shut up, Gina." Like that's just nasty. And then quickly aside, the art, the fucking art here throughout the whole chapter, the art. Oh, but specifically the art here, specifically on this page 14 and 15, I love the shadowings, but more specifically on 14, on these two panels here of Fuko and Ruin looking at each other, the shading, the art, the posing, the way they're looking at each other, it's just so fucking good. But the thing I want to touch on here is the massive implications that this conversation Ruin has with Fuko, because this conversation doesn't feel like anything the prior Ruin had said. And this question also reveals that this is not the same Ruin in the slice. He did not make it through the loop, or he was not saved by Soul because of the specific phrasing of the question. You experienced it firsthand, haven't you? Ragnarok. The way Ruin asks that shows that he did not experience Ragnarok, so this is not the same Ruin. There's no reveal that Soul saw Ruin was about to die, snatched him up and put him in the master room, like locked away for ages, and now bring him out as one of his assassins. No, this is a new Ruin that's probably had his memories somewhat awoken from the previous loop by Soul, because memories are stored in the soul, and without showing him Ragnarok or all that kind of stuff, he's just like, again, as God did, maybe he's manipulating him in somewhat to help fight alongside them. But the other thing I love about this conversation is the way Ruin speaks to Fuko when he's talking to her about the fight with God and Ragnarok, because the way he phrases the question, why did you think that you could beat God? You've experienced it firsthand, haven't you? Ragnarok. These Nagayas can't even beat me, so how the hell are they going to beat God? You need to learn your place. This shows that this Ruin, I don't think he's just a pure God brown-noser that's just living up wanting to be God's little right-hand man being a pick-me. I think it's something somewhat similar to Victor, in that he is just thinking, God's life is out of our hands. We cannot beat him. What's best is to join him and to surrender to him and allow him to win, because if we do that, we'll be more better off. Trying to fight him will just result in our death. There's no way that we can beat him. Obviously, there's a little bit of brown nose for the you need to learn your place, humanity beating goddess, which is then he's cut off, but I think he was going to say like impossible or like something out of our reach. But the way Ruin speaks to Fuko here, I do think shows some potential of maybe him joining them alongside to fight with them in the final fight against God. It shows more than just a one-dimensional, oh yes, God, please, Daddy God. I think he just is giving up. He doesn't think it's capable of happening and that they have no chance, which this chapter has made Ruin more interesting than he ever was in the previous loop, in my opinion. I think Ruin in the previous loop was one of the least interesting characters, and I love this. Shows the genius of the loop system and the going and seeing everyone in the next loop again. It's because it gives Tasuka more time to look at these characters and what he wants to do with them, and it's essentially being able to start anew with all of them, gaining the benefits of these are characters already introduced that people are connected to, but I can use them like they're brand new characters, because Ruin here feels like he's already more cooked and that he's already more well thought over than he was in the previous loop. And then these final 3 pages, oh my days. Fucking hell, okay. I did not think we were getting the return of Andy this soon. I did not think Andy was going to be coming back this soon, fully joining the Union, but he's here. You can see on 17 the sunspot that he is, and then that big explosion as he fucking flies off the sun on his way to join the Union as its final member. There's so many things I want to touch on with this. First of all, it's the today we complete the Union. These next few chapters are going to be the final concrete completion of the Reunion Saga. I think this is when the Reunion Saga ends off here with Andy coming back down. And then after that is where we go into the new saga. I'm saying this is still part of the Reunion Saga. And it's the dumb smile on my face that I get every time Fuko refers to Andy as her partner. It makes me so fucking happy. But the other thing with this page that I want to talk on is that fucking shit-eating grin on Soul's face. Because it is very clear. Because as Fuko very much mentions in the chapter, Ruin is Soul's assassin. Ruin is working directly under Soul. Which, I mean, I don't want to say I 100% predicted it was correct, but I posted a theory video not last week, but the week before, where I did say that Ruin's return was going to be connected to Soul. I did say that. That's a prediction on my end. That's a correct prediction on my end. You know, that's all I'm saying. But with this grin on Soul's face, it's very much that he was planning on this causing Andy to go back to the Earth, because Andy was in the way of the Master Wolves trapping them in the sun. But like the next set of quests that turns up, we're just going to have a fuck ton of Master Wolves. I don't know if we're going to have all of them. I'm going to make a separate video talking about what's to come in the next saga, because there's so much to come. Oh my god, we have so much left to deal with. Fucking hell. But now that Andy is off the sun, that's released the chains for the Master Wolves to leave the Master Room and cause mayhem. So we are going to be getting so many Master Wolf fights coming up. Fucking hell. So now that Andy has left the sun, I wonder what Soul's plan is, because he was planning on Andy to leave. I wonder what he is going to do. I've already done a theory video on what Soul could do, and it is the one that predicted Ruin's return being connected to him. So all I'm saying is go watch that video if you want spoilers for what the next saga is going to be. But also, something that I adore is that it's Fuko's Unluck, which is what's summoning Andy. Because I've said this before, that I think there are multiple instances where Fuko's Unluck summons people. It happened against Victor with the Union dropping out of the sky to fight him. It happened with Andy against Sick, with having Andy summon against him, and now having Fuko's beanie, what I am considering to be Fuko's strongest bad bullet, because it is the one that's been on her head since the start of the series. It's come off a few times, obviously, but like it's been with her throughout this whole series, and it has had 210 years of Unluck stored into it. And what does it do? It has Andy come off the sun. And this line, "Here it comes, my Undead Unluck." It's a little bit cheesy, but fuck me, it's at peak. Fuck me, it's at peak. But something I want to touch on real quick is the translation this week, because David Evelyn, the amazing, superb translator that he is, gives insights every now and then into translation things he did, and he did one for this page right here, because it's fucking phenomenal. It's phenomenal. This final text bubble of my Undead Unluck. But something Tsuka uses here, which he uses a lot throughout the series, is Ruby text, or also known as Furigana, which is a method of showing little Japanese characters, either hiragana or katakana, to show alternate pronunciations for specific words. Tsuka does it all the time for negator abilities and Uma names, to show like different pronunciations, to show off the different wordplays and the different interpretations, rules, and so on and so on. As David Evelyn explaining here, the main text is reading Fushi, while the Ruby text is reading Fuun. So while you can read it as "Here comes my unluck," the way it's mainly written now is "Here comes my undead." It's peak. The fucking romance between them two is amazing. And Oh my god, her calling Andy her undead is... Man! The fact that I have to wait till season 5 to see this shit animated, I am so mad. I am fucking furious. I want this sooner, please. I cannot describe how much I fucking love this chapter. It is going to take a lot, which honestly, with the setup, next chapter does have a strong fighting chance, but it's going to take a lot for this chapter to be overtook for my favourite chapter of the year. I'm thinking of doing a top 10 chapters of the year at the end of this year because there's so many peak and there's so much, but this chapter might just be number one and there might not be a chance for it to be overtook because it is phenomenal. I mean, for fuck's sake, I don't know what the time's going to be after editing, but in a minute, I'm 42 minutes into this fucking recording session. This was a phenomenal chapter. I'm not going to do a predictions part because we know what's coming next week. Andy's coming down and he's going to fight Ruin to protect Fuko, and we're finally going to get the true reunion between the two. As for Ruin, I don't think this is the final appearance of him. Andy is not beating him, and it's not going to be a full fight. The fight is going to probably end by the end of that next chapter, or actually no, there's two different paths that next chapter could go. Either next chapter starts with Andy appearing, and then he fights Ruin, and then by the end, Ruin fucks off, and we have our first on page like proper reunion between the two as they say hi. If they kiss next week, I'm gonna fucking undead myself. Or what I'm thinking of another alternate is Ruin registers that undead come down. It's like, shit, Fuko's going to fight him, and then the chapter ends with Andy come down. Then the chapter afterwards is Andy fighting Ruin, Ruin fucks off, and then we get a proper reunion between the two. I am so looking forward to next week. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't speak. This is a phenomenal chapter, and I cannot wait to see what is happening. The fact that we're getting Andy back is making me so excited and happy, and I just cannot wait. I need next week to come now. And if you're exactly the same, please stick around because you know next week's going to be fucking peak. But until then, to stop myself rambling on some more, see ya.